YouTube. So the number one thing I always tell new players when they're starting a new account is that they got to get their staples up, because really you can get a whole bunch of different decks in the game. Some of them don't even play staples, but the vast majority of the time every deck has staples in it. And this kind of makes sense because it means that more often your hands are going to be more powerful, because you're going to have some generic answers to the kind of things that your opponent's going to be able to throw at you. Also, a lot of the time your deck might not be that good at solving a certain problem, and the staple is going to help you to solve that problem. So making sure you have a solid collection of staples is definitely something that every player should do to make their account as powerful as possible. Now, some people will say that not everyone can get all these staples. Look at all these goddamn staples, man. Holy shit. There's no way that you're going to be able to get 3 copies of all of these as a free-to-play player. It's just no way. The fact of the matter is, okay, even though technically you can get all of these as a free-to-play player, it's going to take you so much time to get all of these that it's not even really going to be worth it. You're not going to have any gems left to make decks with. After all, what's the point of playing Yu-Gi-Oh if we don't have any decks to play Yu-Gi-Oh with? So I am going to tell you which staples you as a free-to-play player can focus on, so that the rest of these, you just kind of forget about them. You don't need all of these. Alright, so at number 6 we have Forbidden Chalice. Now there are, I'm just going to be transparent here. There are 4 cards on this list that will just essentially negate an opponent's monster. Forbidden Chalice, Effect Veiler, Infinite Impermanence, and Forbidden Droplet. These are all just going to negate an opponent's monster. They all do it in different ways. They'll have different conditions. Chalice, you can use it at any time, and it's a quick play spell, so the only time when you can't use it is turn 0. If you have this in your hand, your opponent's doing their plays, you can't activate this from your hand on your opponent's turn. But starting from your turn, for the rest of the duel, you can use Chalice, because you can set it to use it as a trap, or you can use it from your hand whenever you like. What's good about this instead of Droplet is that Droplet will require you to discard or send cards from hand or field to grave in order to activate. If you're negating 1 monster, you have to send 1 card. That means you're using 2 cards to negate 1 monster. Chalice, on the other hand, is only negating 1 thing. What makes this better than Veiler is that Veiler can't be used on your turn. Veiler can be used to stop the opponent, but it can't be used to protect your own field from the opponent's monsters that might try to mess you up. That can be really important. What makes it better than Infinite Impermanence is that you can activate it from your hand on your turn if you control other cards. So if the opponent summons a monster during your turn that would do something you don't want it to do, you can't use Infinite Impermanence because you already have a card on the field. So you could use Chalice instead, since it'll still be activatable from hand. But of course, all of those others also have their benefits as well. But the good thing about Chalice is that you can get it from the box chips for 100 box chips. So you get 300 box chips, you get 3 copies of this bad boy, and you're set. This is a really important staple to have. Next up is Effect Veiler from the Deep Emotion main box. Now this is a main box UR, so you might prefer to use Dream Tickets to get this. This box does kind of suck these days. When it came out, it was pretty damn amazing. It is a pretty solid box though. You could also get Paleozoic Dynamiscus and Mind Control. They're also staples. Cerberus is in here. That's a pretty good card. Also Radiant is a pretty good card. It's a Kaiju. Kaijus are very good. But if you don't care about any of those and you just want your Effect Veiler, you can get it from the Dream Ticket. What makes this, in my opinion, better than a Forbidden Chalice is that, of course, you can use it on turn 0. This card can also be kind of compared to Infinite Impermanence because they can both be used on turn 0. And what can make this better than Infinite Impermanence is just the fact that it's a monster card and it's a level 1 light tuner. So there are some decks that can synergize with those facts. But the other good thing about Effect Veiler is that Infinite Impermanence is locked behind a paywall, okay? You need to go into a selection box in order to get it. Effect Veiler doesn't have that issue. You can always get Effect Veiler regardless of if you're free to play or not. This, of course, is going to change one day. One day, Infinite Impermanence is going to be put into a regular old box. In that case, you'd much prefer to go for that. But for now, Effect Veiler is the, I guess, not paywalled version, and it's available in all of the UR Dream Tickets. And technically, guys, you can use it as synchro material on a Blue Eyes deck. Next up is that Infinite Impermanence I have been mentioning. Of course, I do consider it to be a better card than Effect Veiler, because one bonus it has over Effect Veiler is that it can be used on your turn as a way to kind of break their board before you get your plays going. Of course, you can't activate it from your hand if you control any cards. That is kind of important. It means the opponent might be able to turn this off by giving you a card. It means that they might wait for you to have a card before they would do something that is impermeable. But it's not a monster card, meaning that effects that would stop a monster's effect, like for example Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, can't stop something like this, and that can be really important. You know, it is locked behind a selection box that isn't even available right now, so I am calling it a better card, but it's not in the top 3 cards. Okay, next on the list is Cosmic Cyclone. This, just like Forbidden Chalice, is available in the box chip menu. I would say this is probably the best card you can get with your box chips. This card is good against pretty much every deck, because first of all, you know, you might be going against a deck that searches back row, and you can have this Cosmic Cyclone to make it so much easier to deal with that. There's also a lot of really annoying back row in the game. Certain floodgates that you might need to get rid of. Some back row has a grave effect that you just don't want to happen. Like for example, the Milky Way, you don't want that to happen, so you banish it when they activate it, so it doesn't get its important grave effect. But of course, if you're going against a deck that doesn't really search back row, well, that deck probably plays back row staples, so having this Cosmic to prevent that is going to make it easier for you to break their board. The fact that this is free makes it better than Mystical Space Typhoon, and when I say free, of course, it means it's because box chips are so much more available than gems are, because gems, there are so many things to spend gems on, but not that many things to spend box chips on. So you can easily spend your box chips on a Cosmic, but it's not so easy to spend your gems on an MST. But despite that, Cosmic is kind of a better card anyway because of the fact that it vanishes. At number 2 is Book of Eclipse from the Majestic Magic box. This is an SR card, so it's going to be a lot easier to get this, and it is in contention with being the best card in the game. My number 1 and number 2 slot in this list are basically equal because they are both kind of simultaneously the best cards in the game, and I would say even better than Infinite Impermanence. There is a lot of times where you're building your deck and you might want to put Infinite Impermanence in there, and then you keep playing and you're like, damn, I kind of wish this was a Book of Eclipse. And that's kind of what I've been experiencing ever since Infinite Impermanence came out. Eclipse is typically a better board breaker and a better interruption, which is crazy to say, bro. Infinite Impermanence is one of the best cards in the whole TCG, and yet it seems like Eclipse is a better card in Duel Links because of the Duel Links context. But yeah, you could spend an SR Dream Ticket on it and it would be a pretty good way to spend it, but of course you're probably going to get your other 2 copies just by going through the Majestic Magic box one time, because it is an SR and you can get 2 copies of it from the single main box. And the number 1 most important staple everyone has to have is 3 copies of Forbidden Droplet from the Rainbow Overdrive main box. This card, just like I said a second ago, is the best card in the game, tied alongside Book of Eclipse. You can get 1 copy of this with a UR Dream Ticket, but you're still going to need to get 3 copies of this to be fully optimized as a new player, because truthfully, when you're building a new deck and you're deciding what staples you're going to put in, typically you just throw in 3 Droplet and 3 Eclipse, because they are the best cards in the game. They're the most versatile. Droplet doesn't target the opponent's monster, so if they get rid of their monster, you could just select another one of their monsters. If they have a monster that's untargetable, you can still negate them. It also cuts the monster's attack in half that you negate, and the opponent isn't going to be able to respond using the same type of card that you sent for its cost. This card is absolutely ridiculous, and you have to have 3 copies of it. So really guys, this is the top 6 right here. The reason I say this is the top 6 is not because the other staples aren't that good or because they're never applicable. Obviously, they're all very powerful, you know, and there's a lot of good deck building situations where any of these might be better than the 6 I've selected today. But that being said, the 6 here are the most generic, and they're going to be the most beneficial in the vast majority of decks that you play them in. Any deck that plays any of these other staples can play one of these instead and pretty much be just as fine. These are also typically going to be the more popular staples anyway, so as a new player you don't really need to waste your time. The fact that 2 of these come from box chips, you can kind of knock this down to being a top 4, and then the fact that you don't actually have to have Imperm because Valor kind of does the same job, you could call this a top 3 with Valor, Droplet, and Eclipse. What I'm essentially trying to say here is that as a new player, don't be too stressed about getting all the staples. Just focus on the ones that you can get, the ones that are most generically good. And I'm not even saying not to get other staples. You could get the other staples one day, but if you don't want to waste all your time just getting staples, get these and you'll be completely set for probably years, to be real with you, and then you can just spend all of your gems getting decks. But if you want to see a video with me talking about what decks I recommend to you as a new player, let me know in the comments and we can get that sorted. But hey guys, have yourselves a good one. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. I've been Undead from Team 6K, signing out.
Hey, why they gotta hate on me? I done got me 250,000 views and they still saying they low-key. They ain't wanna come work with the kid, but I'm flexing with Zay on beats. How they ask for a spot at the gym, but they leave all the weight on me. I don't ask them to wait on me. They would ask where they gon' be with a song if they wanted the Weatherman. I ain't asking to pay no fees. She was homeless and needed a spot. I ain't ask her to pay no lease. I ain't ask her to say no please. I ain't ask her to make no cheese. Scream fake but it ain't on me. Got clean so it ain't no streets. Why green if it ain't no keeps? Brought cream so it ain't no beef. My team say it ain't no chief. My demon they hang on me. They seemingly ain't no peace. I seen him, he ain't no beast. For real.